of us, some people tried in 1967. We are still suffering the consequences till today. Let's be real and practical. If you're not able to achieve it by force, Eritrea broke away from Ethiopia after 30 years of civil war. So you have to ask yourself, if the destruction and poverty and all sorts of things that will come with war, is it worth it? Or is there a better way to pursue this grievance through the political system of the country in which you currently are? So if you're not at the table, you are on the menu, period. So all these boycott elections, we don't want to do this until we do this. We don't want to do this until this is done. There could be negotiating positions, but I am not sure that it helps the way we think. So I agree, I understand the feelings of many people who are aggrieved, whether the people in Niners, the people in IPOB. I understand the hurt, where they're coming from. I understand it, because I agree that Nigeria is not just, it's not fair to many of its citizens or many nationalities. But there are many people complaining like this. The Southwest is the same. Many minority groups in the North are the same. The Middle Belt, it's not just the Southeast. Let's not think the Southeast is the only group unhappy. And when we talk about the Southeast, I think it's very important to be very clear that as of today, a majority of people in the Southeast still believe in the prospects of one Nigeria that is united, but based on justice. 99% of people in the Southeast believe that Nigeria is unfair to the region. There's no question in my mind about that. But do 99% want to break up? No. Majority do not want that outcome. So let us be very careful how we describe the Southeast. The majority do not want to break away from Nigeria. There are those who do. So there is a right of self-determination. In some instances, that right is absolute. For example, colonial rule. That's the basis on which we got our independence. But in international law, when you're part of an officially recognized country, self-determination is now determined by the constitutional framework of that country in which you are. That's why Catalonia, what's the name in Spain, has not been able to secede from Spain. The part of Spain that wants to secede. That's why Quebec in Canada wanted to secede. They were not able to. But there were political negotiations that were held. The French Canadians, they were given the right to use French in Quebec. They were given various other rights, and they agreed to remain part of Canada. The same thing in Spain. So we need to look at global history and global affairs when we're looking at things, and not just be emotional and sentimental. So I say, even as you have your view of whether Nigeria is fair or just to you, go and vote for the candidates you think are better than the people you think are not doing well. If you back away from the elections, there will still be elections, whether you like it or not. Then the kind of people you think are not good for you will come back again into power and continue to oppress you. And you'll continue to be shouting, your slogans, but still not able to achieve your objective practically. What is that? So that's the way I look at these things. Now, when somebody said about people talking about their populations, the population of Nigeria has long been politicized, including by the British, starting from the first census around 1960, I can't remember the year. And so people have always tried to manipulate these things to obtain some sort of advantage. So individuals can have their personal opinions about how many they and their ethnic groups or regional groups are. That's not, we have to go by scientific enumeration. in the country. And we should maintain our efforts to get an accurate census of our country. That's what I have to say to that. Nobody should waste one's time listening to people who say that we're 200 million, or everybody in Nigeria is from my ethnic group. Yeah, right. Wonderful. No problem. Everybody has the right to hug a microphone. So that's what I have to say to these questions. Yes. And the lady was asking, how do we silence money bags? How do we get serious candidates? Well, how do we get serious candidates? An election should be a beauty contest. That's what it is in every serious country. Candidates come out, present themselves, present their vision, and there's a presidential debate. There was a presidential debate in 2019. We all know who won by a long mile. I won it. So I showed myself a serious candidate, So they exist. The serious candidates exist, and they will always come to the surface if you're looking for them. And then you make your choice, So this is my question. On money bags, we should come together as the people and put our own money on the table and drown the money bags in this election with political education, with strategy, with communication to the people about why we need to shift the paradigm. It's possible. It's very doable. Let me tell you something. One story, and then I'll end my response. A very important man in this country who is known to be very wealthy and a funder of the two major political parties told me a story. He said to me, I was in France with my business partners just before the election in France. And I had been watching this young man, Emmanuel Macron. And I asked my business partners, how is the election going to turn out? Does this young man, Macron, have a chance? He said they all laughed. They were banging, that one, he has no chance. Doesn't have money. Is not one of the major political parties. This was how they dismissed Macron. He said 2 weeks later, the election was held and Macron won. And his business partners who were French were telling him, how can you, a foreigner, read French politics more accurately than us who are French? You said Macron was going to win. We laughed at you. Now he has won. And then he said to me, I hope you will become the Emmanuel Macron of Nigeria. So that's just, to close my response on the matter of money bags and things like that. So thank you. Happy to take any more questions.
Thank you, Kingsley. Our friend, the man who funds PDP and APC, did he fund you? How did he want you to become Emmanuel Macron? I hope he gave you money. Or was this after the 2019 election?
No, this, I shall leave that matter. Yes, we will have a discussion.
Otherwise, if he didn't give you money, I'm going to go and ask him. Sorry?
Well, let's just leave that offline. Let's leave that offline.
Yeah. I mean, Macron. We leave that one offline. Okay, all right, Biko, we leave that one offline for now. All right, no problem. Somebody was saying, why don't you think of joining the APC or PDP? But I'm not going to ask you to respond now because I'm going to want you to just put that under your belt. Somebody flashed it on the screen that you should think of joining APC or PDP, blah, blah, blah. But then we're going to take some more questions. There's a Dapo Rotifa, Temi Okeshola, Femi Ifaturoti, who called me just before we came on to tell me that he thought he had missed the program, was glad that the program was still going on, and that you had invited him to the program. My cousin Peter Aguele, who was chairman of our local government for a season, and then there's somebody here called Nwabweze. We'll take those five questions very quickly. I am please going to beg everybody, the way I'm looking at Dapo now, it looks as if he wants to preach a sermon. And he's the only one allowed to preach sermons on this platform and then take an offering. So Dapo, please go straight to your question. Make it very, very sharp. And please, let's restrict it to one question per person so that we can take as many questions as possible. Temi, you go straight to your question and so on and so forth. So Dapo, go to your question quickly, please.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to be part of this. Quickly, I'm Kingsley supporter, and I live in Dallas. I can contribute my little thing there. But the way I see leadership at presidential level in Nigeria has always been by conspiracy. Gang up of the ruling elite, and then they anoint you in quotes. Nigerians, we talk so much about political education and that Kingsley recommended, and we know the votes matter in this situation, but Nigerians don't really vote in opposite direction to the leaders they complain against. They just were so enamored with them. I see Kingsley has been going around doing consultations with the ruling elites, and that's a good thing to me. As much as we preach to the people, we also need those who have been there. So my question is, how does he hope to gain their support or maybe their endorsement? Because the people are not ready to do it the way he's been saying it. The people don't really understand it to that level yet. So you need the confidence of these people, and how much of response are you getting from them? I see you've been going around and I like that, but I just want to know how you hope to overcome this or get their backing, because we need somebody like you, but Nigerians don't understand it to that level.
Thank you, Dapo. Thank you. Thank you for that question. Temi, please, I'm going to plead with you to go straight to the question, or if it's a comment, make it very quick. Thank you. Temi Okeshola, are you there? Unmute yourself. If you are not, I think Nwabeze is ready. Nwabeze, do you want to ask your question very quickly then?
Okay. Yeah. Can you hear me, sir?
Who is that? Nwabeze, go ahead with your question.
Okay, thank you for this opportunity, Pastor. My own is like...
Go ahead, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. I've been following Prof. I voted for him in the 2019 election. But my challenge now is, what's the strategy for the 2023? I'm looking at a people-oriented party. I prefer a party where everybody is an equal member. Even if it's 1,000 every month. I bet you if we have like 50,000 people per state, we'll raise enough money for this kind of projects Prof talked about this evening. Projects for every community where we don't give people money. You go from, you make, by the time you install a borehole in a village, I bet you all the women in that village will vote for the person that installed that borehole. So mine is more like a strategy. What's the strategy going forward? Because 2023 is just by the corner. If we can have this 50,000 to 100,000 members, people of like minds, let's leave these money bags. Because when you give Prof a billion naira, when he becomes president, you want him to sign your projects for you. But if it's a party-oriented, people-oriented party where everybody contributes equal money, we see where the projects are going to. The finances of the party is transparent. If you're making a borehole, everything about the finances of the party is transparent. Everybody feels like a member. I think it would be a better, just a strategy I'm thinking of. Because now is the time, 2023 is by the corner. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question. One of the things that Kingsley said was that if you are not on the table, you are on the menu. So somebody's going to eat you up. So let's see if we can get as many people on the table as possible. Femi Ifaturoti, your question, please, Sheriff.
Hello,
Good
can you hear
afternoon.
me?
Let me just go straight and leave the salutations.
Yes, go
Kingsley,
ahead.
it's good to see you.
Temi, we'll take you after Mr. Ifaturochi, please. Femi, please go ahead.
Yeah, now quick, Kingsley, you said something during the course of this afternoon discussion, and you said something to the effect that, people should perhaps stop looking for perfection in candidates. And permit me to say that in your own case, I don't think the issue is they looking for perfection, right? Certainly not in your own case. What we need to understand about people, the electorate generally, is that, most of the time they know the right people, the candidates who have the right qualities. But most of the time, their reaction to politicking is driven by their needs. I had somebody talk about hunger, poverty, and whatever, or whatnot. So it is so very easy for somebody who has nothing whatsoever to offer, but it's a money bag, to use that expression, to actually capture and sweep them off their feet. And that is the tragedy of the political situation here, there in Nigeria. And so my question to you is that we'll keep going back to this issue of funding. And then may I ask, what is your strategy actually to mobilize, the funds that will be required for you to prosecute this task? And then given the fact that we have just 2023 just around the corner, given the limited time that we have. Because I'm driven to ask this question because, I have been in situations where, funds are being provided or for political candidates. And what I discover is that, even the people you are trying to woo to be on your side, there is a certain greed in them. Some of the things that they do, some of them that the people that you assign leadership positions to ensure equitable distribution of what you want to give, they end up being the ones that actually, appropriate or misappropriate some of the things that you're offering. So we have to be very, very prepared for what we're talking about. And I'm looking at the timing. I'm not assuming that you don't already have a strategy, but it would be nice if you could share part of it with us so that we'll be encouraged. Thank you, Kingsley.
Thank you very much, Femi. Thank you very much for that question. Temi, you want to ask your question quickly?
Yes, can you hear me? Hello?
We can
Can you hear me? Oh, yeah, okay.
Go ahead.
Good
Yes.
afternoon, Professor Moghalu. I have great respect for you. I'm from London. Although I have some doubts about your framework of thought. One question and a comment is you mentioned high yield seeds in your last campaign election. And here in the Western world, that is code for genetically modified crops, which in Africa, not many people know that we are already using. Although you see it as a tool for us to have high yield and therefore have food security, but most of the people will focus on food security rather than check how do we get there. So my question is, why is it that you stressed so much on high yielding seeds going towards the paths of GMO inevitably? And I see you align very much with the Washington Consensus and also with the Clintons. You have a picture with Hillary Clinton. I would like to ask, what is your future economic framework of thought align with the neoliberal policies that have been already enacted in the continent of Africa? Or do you have more to say rather than a more conscious capitalism? Verbatim, I mentioned what you so clamor about and instill in people right now at campaign, that is campaign time or early campaign time. And two of your aspiring Pan-Africanists beside Mandela, of course, and any Pan-Africanists that have been in Nigeria. So what are the two your favorite two Pan-Africanist leaders in the continent of Africa? I'm done.
Thank you very much, Jamie. Thank you. I think Kingsley has noticed those questions. And then we'll take the final round from Peter Aguele. Peter Aguele, that's the final round for this round of questions. I think after this, we might have time only for one more round of questions, and then we need to really call it a day. Thank you, Peter. Very quickly, straight to the question.
Good evening, Pastor. Thank you for this great platform. I'm going to apologize because I cannot come on video because I'm in the village. The network is a bit of a concern. I want to say that I'm very elated by the brilliant and passionate presentation of our guest speaker, Prof, Professor Kingsley. But I have a bit of a concern with this 10 billion naira funding that will make him win presidency. Prof, yes, we believe in you. We believe that you can win presidential election in this country. But I can assure you, you'll be the first president that will be impeached the same day, because you have not said anything about your National Assembly, the governors that will be on your side, the House of Assembly members that you have. All these are critical part of the process. All these tiers of government are important to win an election. In fact, the most important and critical part is the grassroots, local councils. What do you have in terms of value? Do you have local government in place in your party? How are you going to bring that up? Because you have 774 local governments in this country. In fact, if you use your 10 billion naira, you are most likely going to be doing an average of 10 million per each local government, which is very insignificant if you are to build any political structures in place. So my question is, how do you intend to win without these tiers of government in place? Thank you.
Okay, we've had those 5 questions. Maybe I'll take one more. Professor Adenike Grange, if you can unmute yourself. Professor Adenike Grange.
Thank you. Thank you very much, my learned pastor. I am happy that you called me because I have been following Kingston for quite a while. I have read your book on growth, personal growth. I think you wrote that very early on. That is build, innovate, and grow. And when I read it, I felt, wow, so we have such learned people among us. They are young enough to become presidents of this country. That was what went through my mind. I didn't know that there would be a day when I would actually hear you speak. And definitely your speech has actually told me what I read in the book. So everybody has told you what would be a problem. I just want to throw in just one other problem. That is the gender dimension. Gender dimension of politics. Nobody usually thinks about that. And unfortunately for us, women and children are always left behind. And it is that cycle of not training or of not educating women that actually leads to perpetuation of ignorance. Ignorance in politics, ignorance in economics. And women have tried their best just by using their own initiatives to take on quite a lot. But they are never factored into formal political architecture of this country. So my question to you is, are you going to take that into consideration? Because if you do, it will yield a lot of profit, a lot of dividend for you. Right now, we've got a lot of female lawyers, female doctors, female, they're all there. They've all been trained and they're just waiting to take on some kind of political leadership. And definitely they will perform better because they're relatively more honest. Let me say so. They're relatively more honest, and they are always thinking more of the future of their children. So I see Pastor smiling. I'm sure that he believes in that too. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right.
Until we need to prove that one, but it's okay, I'll allow you. And I think you're echoing the thoughts of another sister of ours, Ife Nwakwesi, doctor. She's been pushing for the women here and there. So Kingsley, I'm happy you're the one going to respond to this question. So you're on the hot seat. So please respond to all the questions. Professor Grange has asked about gender. She used to be a minister of the Federal Republic and a very renowned doctor. So she's concerned about that. Somebody is talking about having a movement that will be united. Somebody is talking about high yield seats here and there. Somebody asked that why don't you join either APC or PDP? And somebody's asking for a people-oriented party also. So please, I'm sure you have most of the questions. Let's hear the responses.
Thank you. Thank you, Pastor Tua. I'd like to begin by thanking Madam Grange, Professor Adenike Grange. Thank you very much for your question, and I'm pleased that you've read my book. It's my very good pleasure to meet you. You've served our country in a very distinguished way. And let me actually then begin from your question about gender. Any country that suppresses or represses 50% of its population, suppresses 50% of its potential wealth, suppresses 50% of its good governance, suppresses 50% of its potential future. And that's what we have in Nigeria, a country that is run on testosterone and is being run downwards. If I believe passionately in gender equity. I believe it. For me, it's not political correctness, and it starts from my own home. My wife, who I'm sure is here, I'm sure she'll be happy to hear this. Hello, dearest. My wife is a very important part of my life. I don't joke with her at all. Kingsley Moghalu that you hear and see is what you see outside. If I didn't have that support behind me, taking care of a lot of things, she's my Minister of Works, she's my Minister of Finance, the Chancellor of the Exchequer. I make the money, she writes the checks. She's my, she's the Minister of Internal Affairs, she runs the home, you know. So I lead my family and she manages our home. So from that personal experience, I understand the power of women and I respect it. Coming to national politics, I ran with a female vice president in 2019. I was the first candidate to do that. And I think that shows my belief in gender equity. When I become president of this country, I have said I will aim for 50-50 gender parity in the cabinet. Not just that, because that is just a statistic. I am looking at countries like Rwanda. I'm looking at countries like Ethiopia. I was the United Nations desk officer for Rwanda in New York in the early 90s during the genocide. And so I understand, you know, that from that experience, most of the people that were victims of the genocide were men. So the societal complexity of Rwanda changed after the genocide. Women came to the fore because they had to, there was no choice. They were the head of most families now and so on. So you have very strong female participation. About 66% of the Rwandan parliament is women. The cabinet is 50-50. In Ethiopia, the cabinet is also 50-50 men and women. This is the sort of thing that I aim for. Women have natural, I was a central banker, and I know that women, for example, make much better borrowers than men. Statistically and empirically, it is proven that women perform better on loans than men do. So there's so many attributes that women have, which we think they should bring to our finances, our governance, our foreign affairs, and so many other things. So I do believe, and what we will do is that we will go beyond, what do you call it, tokenism. We want to change the structure of our society such, not that women dominate men, no, but that women get their rights and are free to exercise those rights. We will go for legal changes in the laws, or the, you know, that will empower women. We will also undertake a lot of educational programs that will speak to the mindsets of many men and women also. The mindsets of men need to be changed to know that women are their other half and complement them. And a society is built by both men and women. That's very important to educate people's minds about, so that in their actions, they do not approach women with prejudice. They don't approach women with all sorts of attitudes. Then we also need to educate women, because a lot of women need education on them. It's not about feminism and all of that. It's about what's your role in society. And do you hate men because you think that men have oppressed women? You don't have to hate men. You have to work together with men for women to have their full rights in our society. So women should seek out men who are partners, natural partners to them, like myself. So the Kingsley Moghalu presidency will bring a very, very healthy, you know, shift in the place of women in Nigeria. I can tell you that. That's just a way to summarize the gender agenda that I have. So thank you very much for raising that very important question. And I'm glad I had the opportunity to address it. To Peter, who I will not be impeached on the first day of my presidency. And the reason it will not happen is because our political movement is not about Kingsley Moghalu's presidency alone. Our political movement will be a movement of candidates of several positions, candidates for the Senate, candidates for the House, candidates for governorship, candidates for the Houses of Assembly, candidates for local government councilor. That's what we are planning this time around. This is my second missionary journey. And when you do something and have an experience, you learn from your experience. That's part of growth. And so this time around, I'm not going to be running for president just as Kingsley Moghalu. No, I'm going to be the face you see most, but one of several faces of a political movement that is seeking to take over Nigeria and shift Nigeria to take control of its destiny. So we're going to have a lot of young men and women who are qualified and who are able and willing to run for office. So we hope to be able to enter government with a lot of other people who have won elections, especially if we're able to raise the money we talk about raising. We need that money. Now, let me go to the matter of high yield sales, the Washington consensus. I'm saving the question about the APC and the PDP for the last, if you see what I'm saying. Yeah, so, so let me deal with high yield sales and the Washington consensus and favorite Pan-African leaders. The reason I advocate for high yield sales is because, first of all, in Nigeria, agriculture is a very big part of our GDP, and it employs the greatest numbers of people in this country. But you want agriculture to do two things. One, you want agriculture to be productive, not just subsistence farming. You want agriculture to have economic impact in terms of lifting individuals in their households, in the villages, lifting them out of poverty. What is the key to that? Producing more with less land. If you can grow on a land several cycles of a product and harvest and sell, isn't that more money in the pocket of the farmer in the village? It's more money. That's prosperity. That's how people break out of poverty and into the middle class. That's why I talk about high yield sales, high yield seeds, and that's what they use in Israel. That's what they use in many Western countries. That's how they were able to grow vegetables in the Negev desert. It's about technology in agriculture. We must bring technology into Nigerian agriculture. That's number one. Number two, we must take agriculture into the industrial zone. And that is the agro-industrial aspect of the economy. The value chains of agriculture. My government will create an enabling environment for businessmen and women to invest in agro-business at various, will create opportunities at various aspects of the value chain. You have the cultivation, where you now, I'm talking about these high yield sales. You have the harvesting of crops. You have the transportation of crops. You have the storage of crops. You have the processing of crops. And then you have exports of fine finished industrial products from agricultural products. These are all 5 or 6 aspects of the value chain. Each one of these value chains is a whole business landscape. The landscape for storage of agricultural produce. When they produce tomatoes, in Kano, when they produce tomatoes, before you transport them from Kadawa to Kano, half of them have all rotten. It's because there's no investment in storage so that these things can be cool and refrigerated. That's an industry in itself. So this is my approach to agriculture. I want to make agriculture industrial. I want to make agriculture technological. People sit in their homes in the Western world and grow farms. There's even things that are not even the real soil, but they grow. Technology, we don't even want to go into this because it's a whole another discussion. But I am going to be the president for innovation, and innovation will apply to agriculture and industrialization and drive all those economic activities. So that's my point. On the Washington Consensus, I believe neither in the Washington Consensus nor in the Beijing Consensus. I want the African Consensus. And that's why I would recommend you read another book of mine, Emerging Africa, How the Global Economy's Last Frontier Can Prosper and Matter. I wrote this book, and many reviewers, the Financial Times of London, called it the last word on the Africanizing obsession, quote unquote. Because I was able to demonstrate in this book how Africa can achieve prosperity. When we look at economic philosophy, we must be very original in the way we think. What is our own environment? Let me begin by telling you without apology that I am a capitalist. Why? Capitalism is, how do we put it this way? Winston Churchill talked about democracy. He said it's the worst political system except for all the others. So capitalism is the worst economic system except for all the others. Now, it is the system that has created the greatest wealth in this world. It has lifted South Korea to prosperity, Brazil, and so many other countries. Why has it worked in the West and Asia, but not in Africa? That's where I will come in as president of Nigeria, because I'll be able to direct the economy in such a way that we have a strategic capitalism, a capitalism that creates wealth but does not leave the poor people behind, every society will have its poor, because capitalism is about competitiveness. So we will create the wealth, and then we will redistribute some of it to take care of the poor. The problem you have with the government you have in power today is that it pretends that it's a welfareist government, but it's not able to create wealth. You cannot distribute wealth that you have not created. You do not borrow money and mortgage the future of our children to finance a social investment program or to pay salaries or to do whatever. This government is borrowing the way a drunken sailor behaves, borrowing irresponsibly. This country is in deep doo-doo. I want to tell you, if you don't know, and it will become apparent when they leave. So pity the person that takes over from them if that person does not have the capacity to manage the economy of Nigeria. And that is one of my biggest advantages as a candidate. Sorry, excuse me. Yeah, so just 1 second. I'm on an interview. I'll call you back. Yeah. I'll call you back. Yeah. So sorry about that. So I was talking about the economy. So we have to have a strategic type of capitalist economy that creates. Nigerians are very enterprising people, and they can create wealth if you create the opportunity. That's the point. So my government will create a level playing field. There will be no, it's not about government pickings. We will create access to wealth creation for groups of businesses. We're not going to select one person and be giving that person just government concession, only one person, and then everybody else is struggling and is poor. No, we'll create opportunity for everybody. So when you talk about Washington consensus, no, I do not believe in just economic liberalism without context. You have to have the context. But basically, yes, I believe in capitalist wealth creation. But I know, and I would bring as precedent, the three things that are the secrets of capitalism, which nobody who has led Nigeria seems to understand. The first is property rights. The second is innovation. And the third is capital. So you have to have access to capital for capitalism to work. How do you create access to capital? Innovation. Do you drive an innovative economy? Property rights. Do we have real property rights in Nigeria? So I don't want to turn this into an economics lecture, but I just wanted to give you a broad idea of what I'm going. Favorite Pan-African leaders. Mandela, I think you mentioned Mandela, obviously is a great man. I believe that people like Kwame Nkrumah had a lot of vision, no question about it. I believe that Jomo Kenyatta was a great leader. I believe that even Thabo Mbeki, I believe that Thabo was also a very visionary leader. I admire Nnamdi Azikiwe a lot, the great Zik. He was one of the people who really fought for Africa's freedom, and I think made an impact and inspired so many other people. So there are several leaders in the Pan-Africanist movement that I think I admire. People like Awolowo, Obafemi Awolowo, So many of our leaders of that generation made a lot of impact. No question about it. Now let me come to the 800-pound gorilla, the APC and the PDP. And this is where I want to say some very important things. Let's begin with the very practical matter of, do you think that the APC or the PDP will give Kingsley Moghalu the presidential ticket? Let's say I join either one of them. What do you think are the chances of my emerging as the presidential candidate of APC or PDP, knowing what you know today about those two parties? We have to be realistic. I don't take any option off the table because right now I have not made a decision on my political party. So I haven't made a decision yet. but there's no option ruled in or ruled out. So, but I can tell you that we have to be very clever and intelligent in this journey. If the chance for your fighting from within is not strong, your chance of succeeding, then you must find a strategy to fight from without and win. Macron in France did not go and join the major political parties. He formed a movement en marche. He eventually won. So there is no set path to political power. That's why I keep talking about citizens, citizens, citizens. It's in your power. When people begin to ask you about APC and the PDP, it means that there are people who have mentally surrendered to the system. They see nothing else. I don't belong in that space. If I did, I would not have run on in 2019 on the platform of one of the smaller parties. And you would never have heard about me. You would never have known about me. You would never have known what I may have to offer our country. So we have to take our power back to know that we are the citizens. We can make anybody we want the president. It's not about saying, oh, only APC, only PDP. No, the two of them combined are less than, they're a minority in the registered voting pool. I can tell you that. There are numbers of people who actually support them. Most people just don't participate. They may register, but they don't go and vote. 84 million people registered in 2019, only 28 million people voted. So if in 2023, I am on the ballot and 40 million people say Kingsley Moghalu will become the president of Nigeria in 2023, and they vote for it, no Jupiter will be able to turn that, will change that outcome, because you have empowered yourself. So the first is the practical question. My friend told me you need 15 billion just to get the ticket. Okay, give me 15 billion and let's go and look for the PDP or APC ticket. So people should know the realism or what's there. You know, I saw somebody here talking about Maduka in Anambra State. Okay, well, where is Maduka now? Is he still a member of PDP? He's not. He didn't get the ticket. He has left. He's in accord. What is happening in Anambra State is that the two major parties and some of the issues that attended their primaries have led to many people with money and clout moving to the smaller parties, and they're going to empower these smaller parties as we go into 2023. So it's going to be a somewhat different landscape from what you had in 2019. So that's the matter of the APC and the PDP. If APC or PDP were to give Kingsley Moghalu their presidential ticket, the chances of any of those two parties to win the election is 90%. Any of them that were to be radical enough to say to someone like me, because what you're saying is that we are no longer what we are. We have turned a new leaf. We now want a different type of Nigeria. And to prove it, we're going to present to the Nigerian people somebody from left field. But you and I know that the chances of their doing that are not high. So what we are likely to do, and what I should tell you, is that there is a third force that is going to emerge in 2023, and it's going to be a merger or a coalition of several political parties. I think that that is also one of my options. Right now, I'm a member of the group discussing that. So it's about how we make this third force strong to be able to take on this election and to win. That's the issue. APC and PDP today are imploding with crisis. And yet some people still worship these contraptions. Look at what is happening in APC. Look at what is happening in PDP. Why do you feel that you have no option outside of any of these two parties? Instead of building something that is serious and speaks to the vision of Nigeria that you want to see, why are you spending your time with yesterday's men and women? Let's talk about the future. Let's talk about the young people of Nigeria. What do the young people want? My vision is to become president and be a bridge between the past and their future, to empower these young people. When I become president, every important position is either headed by somebody young, or if the person is not young, there's a young person shadowing that person. so that as that person moves on, the youth steps in. We will prepare the youth to take over this country. That is my vision as president of Nigeria. And so you cannot go to a platform where that is not their vision. Now, I want to close my response by making some very practical points about how we're going to win in 2023. In 2019, there were a number of factors against someone like myself. The first was zoning. Everybody believed it was the turn of the North to still hold the presidency. The second was the party dominance of APC and PDP. The third was money. And then the fourth was the voting structure, which is mostly rural versus urban, but with a tendency towards the rural, because a lot of people in the urban areas do not vote as much as people in the rural areas. So, and then the fifth was rigging. These things are all practical. As we're going for 2023, our strategy, because somebody says, what's your strategy? Our strategy has looked at these obstacles and we are making plans for how to overcome them in a practical way. So we're not just going in as starry-eyed idealists. If I am a candidate in 2023, the second missionary journey, I'm playing to win. Period. I'm going in to win. So what are we going to do? First of all, let's look at what is in my favor now. There is a big desire for a generational shift in leadership. That's a big advantage. A lot of people are tired of APC and PDP, even if they don't say so, but they're just waiting for whether a suitable or strong alternative will emerge. That's a factor. There are many people today are worried about security and the economy. I have a clear vision and plan for the security of Nigeria and for the economy of this country. In 2023, there's also the geo-ethnic shift that favors someone like myself. That is to say, this question of rotation. I'm not an ethnic candidate. The basis on which I seek to lead Nigeria is not because I am Igbo. But it is also a reality that Nigerian politics is organized based on informal rotations of power between the North and the South. And in the South, the only geopolitical zone that has not been given that opportunity is the Southeast. But what you want is a competent and visionary president of Nigeria. That's the most important thing. And I believe it is then a wonderful thing if it comes from the Southeast. So it also is like you kill two birds with one stone. You solve the problem of geopolitical equity, which is part of the reason why the country is unstable today, but you solve the even more fundamental problem of capable leadership. So these are the things that were against me. These are the things that are now for me. But what we're going to do is that we're going to create the proper structures. We're going to generate the funding. We're going to have a party platform that is very strong and different from what Nigerians are used to, and it will inspire Nigerians, and we'll engage in political education. So we're going to have money. We're going to have money because the people, are going to raise it. That's the reason we're going to have it. You're going to raise it. We have no choice but for the people to fund what they want. That's it. A candidate that becomes president because you funded him. Compare that with a candidate that becomes president simply because a cabal of 3 or 4 people funded him. Where will his loyalty be? If you fund me, my loyalty is to you. If the cabal funds me, my loyalty is to the cabal. Make your choice. So these are some of the answers that I have on this, Itwa.
Well, we've had such an exciting time today. I still have so many people who want to ask questions, but this is 7:05, and I think I really need to let the people go so that we can maybe call you back, Professor, so that we can have another session with you. But I'm just going to allow 2-3 people to ask questions. One for gender balance, Adebimpe, I assume she's a lady. The other, my brother Ibrahim Palm, whose contributions I value very much. And then the third, a Dr. Chukwu Noso. Please go straight to the questions, 30 seconds each, and then we have Professor Moghalu answer those questions and give his closing remarks. Thank you. So, Adebimpe, I'm trying to solve Auntie's gender problems now. You see, Auntie Adebimpe didn't show up. I gave her a chance, she didn't show. So, Ibrahim, please speak. And speak in a feminine voice so that we know you are trying to solve the gender problem. Ibrahim, go ahead, please unmute yourself.
Thank you very much, Pastor Itwa. I fear to stand in the stead of a formidable lady tonight, but having given me the opportunity, Prof, very good to have you on the platform. I have your book, Emerging Markets, but Imagine Africa, by the way.
Okay, great.
Yeah, and I very quickly, because I know we're out of time, when you spoke about the Nigerian electorate, I want to understand what your view is about state capture and about the elite consensus, because sometimes putting the blame on the Nigerian voter not having proper political education is sort of, putting the blame on in the wrong path. And when you speak about injustice in Nigeria, I'd like to hear your views about how you correct injustice and how you deal with intergenerational trauma that has come from some of our history and our past. And what are your views on national reconciliation coming through from those issues? And then lastly, just out of interest, I'd like to hear your view on how you counter these popular misconceptions that sort of place Nigeria's problems on political hegemony from the north. I think some of these things are deliberately spiked in order to create issues. If you consider that in this republic, out of 22 years of this democracy, 14 years have actually been under the leadership of persons from the south of Nigeria. But some of these descriptions are really not properly targeted. As part of this third force, are you willing also to accept any position in this third force less than the presidency? Thank you.
Thank you. Should I answer the question, Pastor Itwa?
I think.
Yeah, go ahead. Answer. Let them ask the other three.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim. Those are very strong questions.
Good evening, Professor Moghalu.
Okay.
My name is Adebinkwe Makinde, and I'm calling from London. My question is straight to the point because I was part of your campaign in the last election, and like I said, literally, even my educated friends, just did not get it. I don't think they got it. They were also like, oh, it's APC or PDP. I have realized that you kind of have to be in it to change it. It's not just about talking. So what is your recruitment strategy for all the different levels? I am willing and ready to participate in the election, not just talk about it. And I want to know, what are the manifestos and the plans for the different levels as well? Because obviously what I will be saying at the grassroots will be different from what you are saying on the national stage. So do you have the plans for the different levels of government, and what are the recruitment strategy? How do we join this drive?
Okay, thank you very much, Adebimpe. I see you're ready to go, so we're waiting. So one more person, Dr. Chukwu Noso. You want to unmute yourself, Doctor? Is doctor there? Or we give one person a chance. Okay.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Pastor Itwa, and thank you so much, Professor Kingsley Moghalu. My name is Dr. Chukwunonso Redu. I am the convener of the DLS, of which Professor Kingsley Moghalu was one of our guest discussants. What I want to say, it is not a question per se, but a contribution to all that has been said here. We may continue to have our mind biased, or we may continue to think otherwise, but Prof has already given us a plan I feel can work for us as Nigerians. Let's take a moment and reflect over all the persons that are jostling to become the president of Nigeria come 2023, both in the South, both in the North, both in the West, in any part of this country. Let's compare their pedigree with that of Professor Kingsley Moghalu. Do they have what it takes to put Nigeria in the right path? And the answer is no. So irrespective of if he's from the South, if he's from the North, or if he's from the East, Professor Kingsley Moghalu has proven over time. I have watched his track record, his antecedent. I mean, from the past, we can tell somebody's future. From what the person has done, he can tell what the person can do. He has proven over time on over different portfolios, he has occupied what he can do. So, Prof, just to summarize, Prof, please, can you give us a GoFundMe platform where we can now gather the necessary resources to push this movement forward? That is what we need at this moment.
All right. I think you can discuss that with Prof personally, not on this platform. Thank you very much. I'll take one more person just for balance. Habib Aruna. You can discuss that with Prof personally, okay? Habib Aruna, thank you. You want to unmute yourself very quickly? Maybe he's not there. My brother, please respond to those questions and then give us your closing remarks. I don't know if Sonny, my co-presenter, has anything to add at this point in time. Sonny? Okay. Prof, please go ahead and give comments and closing remarks.
All right, Etwa, thank you. First of all, to my brother Ibrahim Pam, the reason why I talk about the citizens is not because I do not recognize the role of the elite in forming a consensus for every society. When I talk about the citizens, I also should talk about, as you rightly mentioned, the people you call the elite, which is the middle class, the professional middle class, which actually should be the lead. They should be in the lead of a movement for reform, a movement for something different and something new. So I want to call upon the middle class to step up to the challenge that we face. Don't sit back. Don't say because you can afford 3 square meals for your family, politics is of no concern to you. If you ignore politics, if wise men ignore politics, they will be ruled by fools. That's just the truth. And we see it happening in Nigeria today. If the better people say they are not interested in politics, then the people who are not as good will go into politics, obtain positions of authority, and make the decisions that you suffer from and then complain about. So that's, the elite consensus needs to be formed in favor of a new direction for Nigeria, away from the politics as usual, which has not, let us look at our result sheet, for God's sake. 60 years as a nation, where are we? 60 years as a nation, where are we? We now have the highest numbers of extreme poverty in the world. That is our report card, 60 years. We started out with people like Malaysia, people like Brazil, Japan, Singapore, and a few other countries. Today, those countries are far away. People like Thailand and some others that were even behind us in 1960, they've come and passed us. So the report card is bad, guys, ladies and gentlemen. The reality is that these politicians that we worship, the APC and the PDP, they have delivered nothing but failure. So the elite needs to come to this realization and say, okay, what do we do now? we have to look for a different level of leadership for our country. And we should lead the way in recruiting that leadership. So and if we recruit the right kind of leadership, then we can dislodge, the corrupt elements or the people who lack vision, who have captured the state and are using the state for their own private, I mean, I don't need to refer to a certain wedding that took place recently. I think that should tell you all you need to know about some of these characters. They come and argue in front of the airwaves, but at night, they're all part of the same family. And the meal they put on the table is you and me. That's what it is. So, people have a right to marry and be merry, of course. So I'm not criticizing anybody in particular, but I think there are certain things that should have come out from watching these scenes, and then you understand that our elite, our middle class, they have not yet grasped their responsibility fully. Now, how do you correct injustice, generational trauma, national reconciliation? This is a very good question because this is what I did for many years in the United Nations. I dealt with questions of justice. I dealt with questions of reconciliation. I have proposed a Truth and Reconciliation Commission for Nigeria for us to look at the things that are holding us back and preventing us from uniting. What are those things? In the main, it is the events of January 1966 to January 1970. We must come to the table and look at those events. Why? It is not so that the narrative of you or me will win the argument. It's not an argument. It is for us to recognize how we have wronged each other and to forgive each other and to agree that never again will Nigeria go through these spasms of violence and that we must work together as a united country. It is possible. What has been lacking is the leadership to make it happen. So if I'm president and I have this mindset, of course I'll make it happen. But if I'm president and I do not see the whole country as my constituency, but I see only one part of it, I'll be fighting the battles of that part of it. And when I begin to do that as president, I'm dismembering the country. I am weakening the country. I'm destabilizing the country. That's what Nigeria is facing today. So my approach to national reconciliation is that we must come at it honestly and transparently. No side in this country, no ethnic group is innocent. Let's not kid ourselves. And what we suffer most is not so much North and South. It is a conspiracy of the political elite versus the people. There are only two political parties in this country, the politicians and the rest. The politicians are one party, forget about what they call their party. The rest of us are in one boat, complaining that we have no light, complaining about inflation, complaining about the Naira exchange rate, complaining about everything. And the politicians are busy killing it for themselves, whether they're APC, PDP, forget about it. Again, if you attended the wedding, you will know. Who were the people who stood in as this or that? I don't want to say more. It's one club. Forget about them. They're not serious. So when you talk about political hegemony from the North, the fact of the matter is that the whole North cannot be blamed. I think it's wrong for us to be blaming the North as a group. Remember what I said about the two political parties, the political elite and the rest of us. The rest of us come from the North, we come from the South, we come from the East, we come from the West. The political elite, they also come from across. So, but there are a few people who from their national utterances, their public statements, make you realize that they feel a sense of entitlement in this country. And that sense of entitlement it works against our progress. That's what people mean when they refer to hegemony. It's not about counting the years anybody has been in office. The fact of the matter is that for 46 years out of Nigeria's 61 years of independence, our presidents, our leaders have come from the North. Whether it's military, whether it's civilian, it doesn't matter. They all were heads of state and government, and they all made decisions. So we don't need to go into that argument, because if we go into that argument, it becomes irrelevant what you were trying to say, just counting from 1999. No, Nigeria is a 60-year-old country. And we all know as a historical fact that its political leadership has been dominated from one part of the country. It doesn't mean that nobody else has had it. Those who are talking about hegemony are just talking about other things. And for me, hegemony does not mean where the person comes from. It's not the point. Hegemony is about a mindset that some people have, that they are the masters and that others follow. That's the point. That's what people mean when they refer to hegemony. And that's a group of people, it's a small group of people. It's not an entire region of the north of Nigeria. No, that's not what it means. Now, let me talk about, to Adebimpe's question. What's our recruitment plan? Look, we have Moghalu for Nigeria.org, Moghalu 4, numerical 4, Nigeria. That's our political movement. And we have Moghalu for Nigeria.org. Anybody who is interested in part of what we are thinking and planning can join us. And then we will join a political party. And in joining that political party, we're going to say, if you're interested in running for this or that, indicate your interest so that we negotiate it or we inform the party that we're coming in with people who are interested in this post or that post. So, that's the way we are going to do it. You talked about plans for the different levels of government. Of course, the language that you used to speak. I ran a campaign in 2019. Many people were shocked when they saw me in the marketplace dancing, when they saw me in certain situations. They could not believe that this was somebody that they had known only as either a central bank deputy governor, or a UN diplomat, or a professor. That's not the point. You must speak to people at their level. And I'm very well capable of doing that. And I think my antecedents have shown that. When I go to villages, it's not this type of grammar that I'm blowing here that I'm blowing in the village. I go to places, I speak in Pidgin. If I'm places where I speak the language, I speak the local language. So yes, that is part of what any serious politician has to, of course, do. The ability to communicate to people, meeting them where they are. So when I'm giving an example, I don't use the word inflation when I'm in the village. I say, what is the price of Gary last year? What is the price today? That is inflation, Abi. So it's not, but I'm talking to you, Anito. I can talk about inflation because I know you understand what I'm saying, So that's that. Now, Nonso Oredu, well, thank you very much for your comments, and I really, really appreciate that. You can reach me offline, and we can have a further discussion. But let me make a few closing remarks at this point. One is that we have a very dire situation. We have the fierce urgency of now, and we must act to save the future of our children. I tell you, I have children, and they all want a future in Nigeria. But at the rate Nigeria is going, and I'm sure all of us here do, but at the rate Nigeria is going, is this a practical hope? No, unless we change course. The omens are not very good. There will be a lot of rising poverty, continuing conflict, and it will conscript, it will narrow the space in which reasonable, normal people operate, and to become a very small space. Whereas the much larger space is occupied by terrorists and bandits and all kinds of people. We want to enlarge the space for prosperity. We want to enlarge the space for good governance, where children can go to school without fear of being kidnapped, for God's sake. What do? I have a plan for security. And that is, first, address the fundamental root causes that bring the security crisis we have in Nigeria today. Lack of investment in education in certain parts of the country, Almajiri children syndrome. Then we go into the professionalization of the security services. Then we have the question of political will to deal with whoever. Let me tell you, if I become president of Nigeria tomorrow, I don't care who is the person threatening the peace and security of Nigerians. I will deal with the person as president. I'm just telling you so you know. People who know me personally know I'm not partial, you know. So it doesn't matter if you think that, oh, you're my brother, you can then come and be disturbing the peace, or you think because you're my brother, you can defraud the state and get away with it. I'll tell you, no, it's not possible. So because when I deal with you that way, I have every right to deal with any other person who does the same thing the same way. So these are some of the ways that I think. But, you know, to conclude, I think it's time for action. I think each one and every one of us must look inward and say, what do I want to do? I have a community that I can influence. I have a family. I have friends. Let me become an ambassador of the new Nigeria. Let me talk to the people that can listen to me, that we cannot continue this way. We must do something different and change the trajectory of our country. That's my plea for you, or to you, and I leave you with it, and I make you a promise, and I tell you one thing. Why do I seek to be president? It's not because if I become president tomorrow, the streets of Nigeria will be paved with gold. Anybody who is telling you that is not realistic and is conning you one more time. The reason I want to be president of Nigeria is to lay the foundation for Nigeria to take off irreversibly, and to put in place the kind of structure that will not allow anybody to come in future and stop Nigeria making progress. That's my plan. That's the vision that we have. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Prof. You've done so excellently well today. The comments have really been truly outstanding, and some people are clapping. But I'm going to let you go now, but some people have keep pulling me back that there's a question you haven't quite answered. And okay. I think Ibrahim Pam asked that question. He says, is it presidency for you or nothing? Or
I see. I'm sorry. Yeah. I forgot. Yeah. Okay, no, it cannot be presidency or nothing. I mean, look, I'm putting myself out to serve the country. That's what I'm doing. And I'm giving it my best shot. If for some reason God does not allow me to get there, it doesn't mean I will not be available to serve my country in other capacities. Of course I will. So there's no, it's not for me, it's not a do or die at all.
All right, I think you've heard it all, and I think we've done well. And you can see the applause all over the place now. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Itwa, for giving me this platform. Yeah. Okay.
God bless you. God be with you. You all and right. I will engage. Let me know when it's good and possible. And then we'll all work together to see how we can move this country forward. And like Amen. You, I'm very determined that come 2023, we must have the right kind of leadership.
Absolutely.
Okay? We must have the right kind of, we can't afford another 4 years or 8 years of this kind of meandering all over the place. Like the foundations really need to be laid, and there should be a transfer to another generation who can then build on that. And hopefully one still has strength to retire and enjoy some relative peace. And I said to some people, Nigeria is worth fighting for. And if necessary, Nigeria is worth dying for. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming. Thank you, Professor Kingsley. We will talk. I'm sorry for those who I couldn't take their questions. It's just the question of time. We've overrun, and I don't want us to keep overrunning all the time. Thank you all. Have a wonderful weekend. God bless you.
Thank you.
And we'll talk.
Hello.
Okay.
Well done.
Thank you.
What about an address?
Yes.
An address where you can send your donation.
There's no